What's going on to all my you fans, and welcome back to the channel. We are back discussing this 4th season, part 2, episode 9, titled She's Not There, an episode directed by the one and only Joe himself, Penn Badgley, as we explore the depths of Joe's mind as Marianne's life hangs in the balance. A lot to go over and a lot of surprises in this 9th episode that I'm excited to talk about with you all. But before we get into it, let's start the conversation in the comments below. What did you all think about the direction of this episode, and of course the surprises that we got at the end, and also share your predictions and your theories of what you all hope to see in the finale in the comments below. And if you all enjoyed this breakdown, consider hitting that like button as well as sharing this video. We got a lot to discuss about this 9th episode. Full spoilers ahead. As Joe appears to be frightened of what he's done, we see Nadia and Marianne have come up with a plan that we don't hear about as we see Joe enters the room downstairs as Nadia hides. The more level-headed Joe is present, and we can see that Marianne notices this as Joe promises to fix himself and tells her he's going to fix everything as she's begging for him to let her go, but he has to leave. But first thing in the morning, he promises he'll return with a plan. We see Nadia believes that the best plan at hand is to actually kill Joe, as Nadia will get the drugs to knock him out and get a drill to set her free, but more importantly get a knife to finish him. Meanwhile, at the engagement party, we see Kate overhears Adam's bet with Steve as Kate shares what she's heard with Phoebe and tries to get through to her and brings up how people like Adam take advantage of her, but Phoebe doesn't want to hear any of this. Back at Joe's place, we see evil Reese is distracting him as he attempts to come up with a plan, but Reese has a surprise for Joe in the freezer, and it's a gun to kill Marianne. But we see Joe refuses to use his gun to do so and kill Marianne, as Joe seems to think he's got a plan, and it involves saving her and saying goodbye to Kate. We see Joe wants to play hero one last time and helping Kate save her best friend, and they work together in doing so. Joe talks to Phoebe and uses reverse psychology on her, and it starts to work, but Adam arrives just in time. I gotta say, I much more preferred the part 1 versions of both characters, Adam and Phoebe, because in this second part, both of their characters seem so one-dimensional, and Adam went from being the second in line in this relationship to fully controlling every move that Phoebe makes. To me, it just feels so rushed and underdeveloped. Let me know if you all feel the same thing in regards to the change of these characters in the comments below. Now we see the mission has failed. As they've arrived to her place, Joe speaks from the heart in telling Kate that he thanks her for making him a changed man. He manages to keep his composure and not go upstairs with her, and promises to call her first thing in the morning, but first he has to take care of a few things. While this is happening, Phoebe unfortunately makes the terrible decision in marrying Adam, and you can see the look on her face of disappointment and regret as she takes a moment to herself to have a mental breakdown. As Joe heads over to tell Marianne that he's got a plan and he agrees to check in on her daughter, only to find out that her sudden departure has caused her to lose custody of her child. After hearing the news, Marianne would rather die than not be with her daughter, as we see Joe just continues to ruin her life. As Nadia rushes to get back to Marianne with all the supplies she needs, she unfortunately drops all her belongings in front of an officer who sees the knife and wants to question her. Meanwhile, Joe, having heard enough of his evil side about killing Marianne, he decides to take tranquilizer pills that Kate found at Phoebe's engagement party in order to fall asleep and wake up in the next morning. As it appears that Joe is ready to free Marianne, but there's one problem. Joe arrives and he can't remember the code, and also it appears that he might have put something in her drink that is killing her, which causes him to go into a panic as he pays a visit in his inner thoughts, and we arrive back to his home to find Gemma there. As we watch this inner battle between Joe and his dark past, Gemma mocks him for not willing to do what needs to be done, which leads him to another location, and that is the return of season 1 U, and that is Beck. Before we talk about this conversation between Joe and Beck, I gotta admit, having Jim in there felt a little bit out of place. Number one, they didn't spend that much time together, and also it seems like this part of his brain is involving all the women he fell in love with and hurt, so I thought it would have been more perfect for Delilah to be there versus Gemma. Either way, as I digress, we have the scene with Beck and Joe as she reminds him of what he took away from her and tells him how he's never saved anyone as she swallows the key that he needs to free Marianne, which leads him to finding his next victim, the one and only woman who matches energy and my personal favorite ex of his, Love. We, us, our love language, as we see Love telling Joe his pattern and never taking any responsibility. She questions if he ever truly loved these women, and we see Love places the gun in his hand and proceeds to shoot him, simply implying what he needs to do, and that is ending his terror of pain and suffering. Joe must end, as this was all a dream happening. So I gotta say, even though I'm not the biggest Beck fan from season 1, I did like her presence in this scene, and I know she appeared in season 2 as well, but I do think she fit well in this moment here. I love the character Love, and I knew when we saw her in the trailer that it wasn't going to be her showing that she's alive and she's back for revenge, that it was going to be a part of Joe having a hallucination. But regardless, she's so fantastic. She ate up that scene. My only issue with this scene was, again, I wish they would have substituted having Jim in there and maybe replacing her with Delilah. Even hell, having Candace pop up in that moment seemed to be a better fit than Gemma. But let me know your thoughts on those cameos in the comments below. As Joe awakes and we see Reese tries to stop him, but it doesn't work as Joe heads back to Marianne. As we cut to seeing Adam thinking he's living his best life with his sexual partners, only to see that they have been hired by someone else, and that is Tom. As we end this episode, we learn that Tom actually had Adam killed, which I figured was going to be the case for Adam, but I thought it was going to be at the hands of Joe. Kate can't believe what he's done and says that this is the last time he'll be seeing her, but Tom, he isn't having it. He reveals that all the things Kate believes she made up on her own were all actually because of him, all behind the scenes. Even this sexual harassment case that Malcolm was involved with that she didn't know about, he took care of that. So we see Tom telling her that she is his favorite child out of the 7 kids that he has, and he tells her that he owns everything in this world, including Kate, leaving her in pure shock. So the question is, will Kate end up taking this offer, or will she go a step further and actually kill her father in order to escape him? Let me know your thoughts on that in the comment section. As Nadia makes it out of jail and runs to go to Marianne, meanwhile Joe arrives to find that she's taken the pills and she's on the verge of dying. So my question is it too late for Marianne, or will Joe manage to save her, or is this a part of the plan that her and Nadia came up with her pretending to have taken the pills in order to trick him? Next question, will Kate surrender to her father's request, or will she end up trying to take him out? What will Phoebe do with Adam's death? Will Joe decide to end it all and taking his own life? Guess we'll have to find out in the finale, which I'm excited to watch after we wrap up this video. But overall, this was yet another solid episode in the second part as we explored the depths of Joe's mind and sees the things that haunt him. And again, I love the Love character, so seeing her again was an absolute joy. And I also think that Penn did a great job in what I think this is his directorial debut. So overall, a solid episode across the board. But those are my thoughts on this episode. It's time for you all to share yours in the comments, pros, cons, and of course, what are your thoughts and your theories and your predictions of what you all hope to see in the finale, which again, I will be watching right now. With that being said, wrapping up this video, just a friendly reminder to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. As you all can see on the screen now, come and join the community. Check out my review for the season finale, as well as checking out all my series of playlists of reviews for this new season of You. You all have been awesome, and I'll catch you all on the next breakdown.